Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 26th of September for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout features to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in much greater detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. So as we go into this new week, so the power of the new moon in the sign of Libra and its opposition to Jupiter, which ended last week, is pouring, cascading its energy into this week too, because the Sun and Jupiter are in opposition for much of the week. Now this is a very nice state of affairs. What's not to like? Well, it's simply that Mercury in its retrograde is in a direct opposition with Neptune. And that particular link, even though Mercury is in one of its two home zones of Virgo, really can create quite a lot of confusion. And even where we're trying to be very diplomatic, reaching into the other person's viewpoint, we're trying to be good listeners, be a little bit more detached in terms of understanding that maybe people see things in a different way, it can all turn to mush with that particular and complex opposition. In fact, we could encounter someone who could actually tell us something that's absolutely a bare-faced lie. So really important to temper the enthusiasm and optimism of Jupiter being opposite the Sun with a real dash of realism. And fortunately, Mars, which is in the part of the zodiac which is very much to do with everyday communications, that's in a very stable link to Saturn in the sector of the community. So that gives us one opportunity to be a bit clearer. And then on Thursday, Venus moves into the sign of Libra. So joins up with the Sun. This is the sign that Venus governs along with Taurus, and it's going to be in opposition with Jupiter too. So I think we just got to try and see the best in each other, to be honest. There's also a very positive link between Mars and Pluto, which can help to cut through some of the confusion and the distortion that Mercury's opposition with Neptune can create. But I think if we can just realize that even if we're quite different in some ways, we do all have some commonalities. And if we can focus on the things that we can celebrate as having in common and not so much focused on the things that make us stand apart, then by the end of this week, there can be a real opportunity for an improvement in all sorts of interactions. The quarter moon, which does occur at the end of the week, is in the sign of Capricorn. So maybe when it comes to those professional relationships, there may be someone who wants us to conform with the expectations of the big business or the organization or the educational facility we're at. And that's tough. We all have to, at some level, let our individuality go and understand that there are certain conventions that we have to fit in with. But that could be a little bit of a sticking point at the end of this week, but the real way to make progress this week is to try to have a sense of clarity, but also a realistic sense of expectation, but then embrace that Jupiter bubbly energy too. Now, please stay with me for your individual forecast. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your year 2023 forecast, the rest of year 2022 free if you order before the turn of the year, and also your life map, your character analysis that can guide you for the rest of your days by giving you searing insights, some of those patterns that can be repeated, and help you to understand them much more. And with my special package, there's 30% off. Please see the link beneath this video. And finally, if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you've already done so, thank you so much for your ongoing support. So Taurus, your week commencing the 26th of September forecast is asking you potentially to be a bit more virtuous. Oh my word, that's a tough thought, isn't it? Particularly if you're someone who's got a really sweet tooth and maybe you like the odd glass of vino too, but the sun in the 6th house with the new moon energy is asking you to think about the ways you can make some refinements to make things work a little bit more efficiently. And, you know, if that calls out to you, great. But it also could call out to you to socialise, particularly with Mercury in an opposition with Neptune. If you have an invitation to go and watch a show, a band or a film, that's a great aspect. If you've got too much expectation of a friend, it's not a great aspect because someone could disappoint you. More constructively, Mercury's forging a very precise link with Pluto, the planet of truth and transformation. This is brilliant if you are wanting to be enthusiastic about some talents and skills you've got and perhaps reach a wider audience. Also, your ruler Venus moves into the 6th house, also in the sign of Libra, on Thursday. But Jupiter on the other side of the heavens is locked in your 12th house in a retrograde. That actually works quite well for Jupiter because it doesn't just govern the sign of Sagittarius, very much about expansion, travel, luck. The rulership of Pisces is much more spiritual. So the 6th house energy needs to work with the 12th house energy of Jupiter, which is face to face with the sun, and then later this week face to face with Venus. Now Venus and Jupiter in an opposition can actually trigger some real good fortune. But I think if you want to be a little bit more aware of the type of work you can do or change your job, you may be tempted at this particular juncture to apply for positions that really can fundamentally help people, particularly in their physical or mental welfare. So this could be some kind of support role with people with different challenges in those areas. But I think in your personal situation, this is not the best of weeks to promise to do something that actually is going to in some way impact on your own daily routines. So I wouldn't be too prepared to make some sacrifices in terms of your own need to get your life running a bit more efficiently. And as I said, Neptune in your 11th house could be that a certain friend can be great fun to be with, but someone could prove to be a little bit unreliable at this time. It could be a last minute change of plan on some kind of outing or date or meeting. But if you can focus on the nuts and bolts in your situation, Mars in a trine with Saturn can make you very realistic about resources, and that new moon energy and Venus moving into your 6th house is asking you to work on ordering your everyday world. It may not sound enormously sexy in a bubbly and upbeat and can-do way, but don't promise to do too much for anyone. I don't think it will necessarily be in your best interest.